Hello everyone, you are on the Untold Facts channel, and today we will once again delve into the darkness. We will expand our investigation of 8 stories of bravery, technical errors, and fatal traps that awaited cave divers and speleologists. The tragedy in Sterkfontein Cave, September 29, 1984. 3 experienced friends, Nuno Gomes, Peter Verhofstadt, and Malcolm, set out to explore the uncharted underwater depths of Sterkfontein Cave in South Africa. Their goal? To lay a guideline to the furthest chamber, Milner's Hall. Nuno successfully laid almost 120 meters of line. Encouraged by the success, all 3 dived together. On the way back, the unforeseen happened. Peter separated and went into a side tunnel. Nuno signaled him to return, but Peter soon disappeared again. Nuno and Malcolm decided he had chosen another passage and surfaced, but Peter did not appear. Repeated searches were impossible. Silt instantly felt all the water and visibility dropped to 0. 4 hours of fruitless attempts and the air in the tanks ran out. Rescuers, police and firefighters arrived, but without cave diving experience, they were useless. The search was called off. Everyone was sure Peter was dead, but they were wrong. Peter was alive. Lost in the 3-dimensional labyrinth, he found a tiny chamber where he could breathe. He waited for help, shining his flashlight into the water and banging his tank against the rocks. No one came. Days turned into weeks. In the pitch darkness, he conserved his batteries and fell asleep from exhaustion, but he held on. Peter lived trapped for 14 days. When the search was officially halted, he was already doomed. Only 6 weeks later did explorers find his tracks and then his body. Next to him lay a note, "I love you, Cheryl and Mom." The examination showed Peter died of starvation approximately 3 weeks after his disappearance. The tragedy in Mossdale Caverns, June 24, 1967. 10 cavers entered Mossdale Caverns in England. This place had a sad reputation. Tight, damp passages, dangerous streams. 4 participants, realizing the difficulty of the descent, returned noticing the cloud-covered sky. The remaining 6 continued and reached the far Marathon Passage, a corridor only 45 centimeters high and 30 centimeters wide, with a stream running along the bottom. Soon, heavy rain began on the surface. The water inside the cave started to rise. When the level became dangerous, the underground group decided to return. But a real catastrophe unfolded on the surface. A lake had formed at the cave entrance, completely blocking the exit. The cavers inside did not know how much water would rush down on them. Those outside ran for help. Underground, people desperately tried to reach the upper chambers, but the water rose higher and higher, pinning them against the ceiling. Hundreds of volunteers and rescuers pumped out water and supplied oxygen. Hopes were dashed. All 6 remaining underground perished, drowning in the icy water of Mossdale. The tragedy in Nutty Putty Cave, November 24, 2009. 26-year-old medical student John Jones from Utah, along with his brother and friends, went to explore Nutty Putty Cave. Although the system was considered friendly, it also had extremely narrow, dangerous passages, like the infamous birth canal. John and Josh decided to find more difficult routes and reached the passage called the corkscrew. John, 183 centimeters tall, weighing almost 90 kilograms, knew it would be impossible to turn around, but the thrill overcame him. He crawled forward until he found himself hanging upside down in a narrow, inclined tunnel. He was wrong. The passage ended in a dead end, only 45 by 25 centimeters. John was stuck. Gravity pulled his body, his chest was compressed, and breathing became difficult. His brother couldn't pull him out by the legs and ran for help. Rescuers set up a complex system of blocks and ropes. The problem? The tunnel was so narrow that only one person could work. John spent over 12 hours upside down. Blood pooled in his head, and he began to lose consciousness. After 24 hours, rescuers finally extended a powerful winch. He screamed in pain. His legs turned blue. For a moment, he was lifted, but the rope broke. All of the equipment crashed down, injuring a rescuer, and John slid down, even deeper into the trap. Attempts continued, but he no longer responded. At 11:56 p.m., John Jones was officially pronounced dead. His body could not be recovered. A few days later, the cave entrance was permanently sealed with concrete, turning it into a grave. The tragedy at Jacob's Well, November 23, 1983. Jacob's Well is an underwater labyrinth famous for its danger. 2 divers had already died here in 1981. Experienced instructor Don Dibble warned of the danger and even tried to seal the dangerous passage with cement, but his barrier was chipped away. 2 students, Richard and Clark, decided to take the risk. They reached the 3rd chamber. To squeeze through the narrow opening, Richard removed his tank and carried it in his hands. At some point, Clark saw something terrifying. His friend was stuck without his tank and began to suffocate. He extended his regulator to him. They began alternating breathing from a single source, moving backwards. They managed to get out of the chamber, but the air supply was critically low. At that moment, they made a fatal mistake. They confused the direction and swam into a dead-end tunnel that looked like it led to the surface. Clark, desperately straining his lungs, was able to swim almost 25 meters in one burst and broke free to the surface. Richard remained behind. When Clark reached people and called for help, it was too late. His friend perished. The tragedy in Golem's Cave, August 18, 2005. 5 friends went to a cave nicknamed by the locals Golem's Cave, or Death Cave. One stayed waiting outside. 4 squeezed through a narrow, water-filled passage and reached an underwater tunnel, 5 meters long, about a meter in diameter. To pass it, they had to go completely underwater. On the other side, they were met by a small cavity with a 3-foot, about a meter, air pocket. The friend who stayed at the entrance grew worried and called for help, but tragedy was unfolding inside. The 4 were trapped in a pocket with bad air. In such places, oxygen content sharply drops and carbon dioxide becomes too high. Breathing is difficult. Clear thinking is impossible. They realized they needed to return, diving back into the narrow tunnel. The first one underwater, but disoriented by the lack of oxygen, couldn't find the exit opening. The others dived after him. All 4 became stuck and perished inside the water corridor. After the tragedy, the authorities decided the entrance to the Golem's Cave was permanently sealed with concrete. The tragedy in Crooked Slough Cave, March 27, 1982. Donald Waltner with his 2 sons and 12 Boy Scouts entered Crooked Slough Cave. The group entered through a tiny opening, 40 by 70 centimeters. Donald decided to scout out a narrow passage, 45 by 50 centimeters. He moved forward, followed by his sons. Suddenly, the ground beneath him slid. He slid into a narrow fissure only 12 centimeters wide. The slippery clay didn't let him stop. His body was wedged, his arms pinned. His sons couldn't pull him out. With each tug, crumbling rocks pressed his body tighter. Rescuers arrived, but the location was too narrow. They tried ropes, they tried tools, unsuccessfully. Donald was stuck in icy mud. Hypothermia began. Rescuers found another path and tried to pass him food and water, but the passage was so narrow that even the thinnest cavers couldn't reach his head. In despair, they started digging from above. 2 days after the fall, Donald's condition sharply deteriorated. Rescuers decided on extreme measures, using dynamite, but it was too late. When doctors finally reached him, Donald was already dead. The official cause of death was hypothermia. It took a full day to extract his body. The tragedy in the Alum Pot System, June 15, 1974. 2 young explorers, Roger Solari, 26, and Martin Farr, 23, decided to go further than anyone in the flooded Alum Pot System in South Wales. Martin had previously conquered the 3rd sump, 260 meters, alone and discovered the 4th. Together they reached the 4th sump, but violated one of the main rules of diving, the rule of thirds, 1/3 in, 1/3 out, 1/3 in reserve. Roger and Martin went further than calculated. Roger had breathing problems, but they continued. When Martin found a dead end, Roger only had enough air for his short return trip. Starting back, Roger panicked. His supply wasn't enough. He desperately tried to find a non-existent air chamber. Martin managed to reach a reserve tank and with enormous difficulty passed all 3 sumps back. Roger never appeared. The search lasted 12 years. Roger was found in 1986. Divers later confirmed an air chamber actually exists, but at a depth of 267 meters. It was named the Against All Odds Chamber.
The tragedy of Floyd Collins, late 1924. American speleologist Floyd Collins discovered a new cave in Kentucky named Sand Cave. He hoped to profit from tourism. On January 30th, 1925, he squeezed through a narrow constriction, only 23 centimeters high. But on the way back, in the pitch darkness, he accidentally hit a rock. The rock broke loose and pinned his leg. Attempts to free himself only worsened the situation. The next day, he was heard, and relatives were called. Soon, rescuers, journalists, and crowds of onlookers arrived. A real tent city sprang up around the cave. The situation worsened. Water from fires outside was draining into the cave. Floyd's brother, Homer, worked almost around the clock to clear the blockage. Reporters even ran an electric light bulb to monitor if Floyd was still alive. On the 13th day of the rescue operation, the tunnel collapsed completely. Workers began digging a new parallel shaft, but when they reached the spot, it was too late. Floyd died of cold and exhaustion. His body could not be immediately recovered. That's all for today. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it. And of course, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss the next video. Write in the comments what topic you would like to see the next video on the channel about.